My name is Pearl Powers, and I'm 31 years old. And for most of my adult life, I believed I was difficult to love. Not because anyone ever told me that, but because I grew up learning that the safest way to keep peace was to give more than I received, to be accommodating, to be understanding, to be the one who held everything together. So when I met Lucas Hayes, I mistook his attention for fate. We met at a backyard barbecue hosted by one of my coworkers. Sunlight and cheap beer, music vibrating through the fence. Lucas had this warm, boyish smile that made him stand out from the noise. He was funny, spontaneous, charming in that effortless way that made other people look dull next to him. We talked for hours that afternoon, and something in me, something soft and hopeful, opened like a window catching a breeze. 3 years later, I would learn that Lucas was a master at making people fall for the version of him he curated carefully. But in the beginning, God. In the beginning, I clung to every good part of him like proof that I was finally getting things right. For the first year and a half, our relationship was genuinely beautiful. We went on spontaneous road trips. We cooked together at midnight just because we could. He danced with me in the kitchen even when there was no music playing. He made me feel chosen. But somewhere between the honeymoon phase and the quiet routines that settled in afterward, something shifted. At first, it was just subtle moments, things I brushed off. He stopped asking about my day. He started expecting me to handle things, reservations, groceries, errands, and whenever the conversation drifted toward responsibility, his whole expression hardened, like he was allergic to adult realities. But I told myself it was stress, work, life, something temporary. We always tell ourselves that when we love someone. The turning point came when Lucas's lease was ending. One evening, he walked into my living room holding a renewal notice, sighing dramatically. "Babe," he said, dropping onto the couch beside me, "they're raising my rent again. $1,800 for a one-bedroom. It's insane." "That is steep," I admitted. He looked around my house as if seeing it for the first time. The open space, the quiet, the stability. I inherited the house from my grandfather, but I'd spent years renovating, painting, furnishing it with my own two hands. It was the one place in the world that felt completely mine. Lucas smiled thoughtfully. "I'm basically living here anyway," he said. "Wouldn't it make more sense if I just moved in?" He said it like a gift, like something he was doing for me. And maybe that should have been a red flag, the way he phrased it. But when you're in love, red flags look a lot like rose petals. He added, "I could help with groceries and utilities. It'd be easier for both of us." Looking back, I should have noticed he said help with groceries and utilities, but never mentioned rent. Still, I said yes, and he moved in within 2 weeks, so fast I barely had time to process what I'd invited into my life. Lucas expanded into my home like fog, quiet but suffocating. My organized, minimalist space slowly transformed into a chaotic museum of his things. Shoes by the doorway, random gym clothes draped across chairs, decorative items I'd never seen before piling onto shelves. At one point I asked, half joking, "Why do we need 7 throw pillows on one couch?" He laughed at me. "Pearl, you can't have a bachelor couch forever." "I'm not a bachelor," I said. "Exactly. So let me help make the place look like 2 people live here." But it didn't look like 2 people lived there. It looked like he was taking over. Still, I let it go. Because that's what I did. Because I loved him. The money conversation started 1 month after he moved in. We were sitting at the dining table when he slid a handwritten list across the surface as if presenting a proposal. "So," he said casually, "I think we should split expenses fairly." I nodded, until I read the list. His car payment, his phone bill, his gym membership, subscription services, personal shopping budget. "Lucas," I said slowly, "these are your personal expenses." He shrugged. "Yeah, so we'd split them. Half for me, half for you. That's fair." It was like talking to someone living in a completely different financial universe. "Why would I pay for your car or your gym membership?" I asked. He leaned back, offended. "Because we're a team. Couples support each other. My buddy's girlfriend pays all his bills." "Well, I'm not your buddy's girlfriend," I said. He frowned. "So you won't help me?" And that was my first mistake. I compromised. "Lucas, I'll cover the house stuff. Mortgage, utilities, internet, groceries. You handle your personal expenses. That way you can save money without me paying your bills directly." He smiled, relieved. "See? That's why I love you, Pearl. You get it." But what I didn't realize was that I had just unlocked a door he'd soon walk through again and again. The first month, he bought groceries once. In the second, he said work had been slow and he'd get me next month. By the third month, he contributed nothing at all. Not groceries, not utilities, not even the occasional takeout. But the spending? That increased. It started small. He forgot his wallet, needed gas, needed to pick up a few things. Just this once, babe, I'll pay you back. But once became twice, then 10 times, then he simply added my card to his Apple Pay. I didn't notice at first. I wasn't checking the charges every night. I trusted him. Until one evening, when I couldn't sleep, I opened my credit card app out of pure boredom and froze. $3,200. That month alone. My heart pounded. Clothing stores, cosmetic shops, lunch deliveries every day, subscription boxes I'd never heard of, online purchases at 1:30 a.m. It felt like being punched. When I confronted Lucas the next morning, he barely looked up from his phone. Did I spend that much? Huh. Sorry, babe. Work's been stressful. With my money? I whispered. He smirked like it was obvious. With our money, Pearl. Something inside me went quiet. A stillness I would later recognize as the earliest form of awakening. But back then, I just stood there, holding my phone, realizing the man I loved might be someone entirely different from the man I thought I knew. And this was only the beginning. Stop. For days after discovering the $3,200 credit card bill, I told myself it was a misunderstanding. People who love you don't drain your accounts. People who say they're building a future with you don't spend your money at 2 a.m. on luxury shampoo and novelty socks. Right? But when I confronted Lucas, he barely looked up from his phone. Pearl, you're making a big deal out of nothing, he said, thumbs still tapping the screen. Money comes and goes. Money I earned, I replied quietly. He finally met my eyes, irritation surfacing. That's a weird tone. Are you really going to start policing every little thing I buy? $3,000 isn't a little thing, I said. It's a pattern. He scoffed. You make good money, and you live in a house you didn't even pay for. Why are you acting broke? Something cold slipped down my spine. It wasn't the words, but the entitlement behind them. The following week, Lucas floated between sweet and dismissive, like he sensed I was slipping away and wanted to keep me off balance. One night, he brought home takeout and said, "See, I do contribute." Another night, when I asked him to pick up groceries, he forgot. When I suggested we sit down and review expenses together, he muttered, "God, you're starting to sound like my ex." What does that mean? I asked. He shrugged. She was obsessed with budgets too, always stressing about money. It ruined us. I didn't miss the implication. If I asked for accountability, I'd ruin us too. By week 3, my fridge was nearly empty. My best friend Kara stopped by to drop off a sweater I'd left in her car. She stepped inside, took one look around, and frowned. "Pearl, why does your house look like a college bachelor lives here?" I forced a laugh. "We've both been busy." Her eyes narrowed as she glanced into the kitchen. "No groceries? Seriously? Did the apocalypse start without me?" I hesitated. Kara was the kind of friend who could smell trouble before I even admitted it existed, and I didn't want her to see how deeply I'd allowed myself to drown. But she walked straight to the pantry anyway, opened the door, and stared into the barren shelves. "Pearl, what is going on?" I swallowed. Lucas said he'd go shopping this week. "When?" I didn't answer. She shut the pantry softly, as if afraid loud noises might shatter the illusion I was clinging to. "Pearl, please don't tell me he's not contributing." "He's between things financially," I whispered, hating how weak my voice sounded. She turned to me slowly. "Does between things include spending your money like it's Monopoly cash?" A sting of shame burned my chest. "I'm working on it," I lied. Kara didn't push, but the worry in her eyes stayed with me long after she left, and it made the silence in my house feel even louder. 2 weeks later came the moment that cracked the foundation beneath me. I'd gotten a promotion at work, an actual milestone I'd been grinding toward for years. I walked through the door buzzing with pride, ready to share my news with the man I believed would be excited for me. He was surrounded by shopping bags. "Hey," I said tentatively, "guess what? I got the promotion." "That's cool," he said, barely glancing up. "Can you help bring the rest of my bags from the car?" I froze. Everything inside me shrank. Still, I helped. Dragged in 4 more glossy bags stuffed with clothes and accessories. "How much did all this cost?" I asked gently. He shrugged. "Like $800, but everything was on sale, so I saved a ton." $800? From your card? He said it so casually, it knocked the breath from my lungs. "No, mine's maxed out. I used yours." There was a pause, heavy, suffocating. "Lucas," I whispered, "why is your card maxed out?" "I don't know." He waved a hand dismissively. "Stuff adds up." "I can't keep covering your expenses," I said quietly. "You haven't contributed to groceries or utilities in months, and now you're spending thousands on my card." He slowly set his phone down, eyes sharpening. "You're being dramatic. Seriously, Pearl? You get a promotion and suddenly you're stingy? It's not about stingy, I said. It's about boundaries. Oh my God, he groaned. You're trying to control me. My jaw dropped. Control you? Lucas, I just want us to share responsibilities. Why? He snapped. So you can keep score? Treat me like some financial burden? I stared at him, stunned by the projection. You make 6 figures, he said loudly, standing now. You inherited a whole house. Meanwhile, I'm working my butt off dealing with customers all day. The least you can do is help me out financially. My house wasn't free, I murmured. I've spent years renovating. He cut me off. Whatever, you've got it easy. I'm the one struggling. I blinked slowly. He truly believed that. He truly believed I owed him. That night, after he stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door, I sat alone at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. I'd been afraid to add up the numbers, afraid to see the truth quantified. But I opened a spreadsheet and typed every transaction, every bill, every just this once, every grocery run, every gas tank I filled, every payment he assured me he'd get next time. The total made my stomach twist. 43,000, 6 months, nearly a full year of my mortgage. When Lucas came into the kitchen and saw the spreadsheet, he laughed. Oh my God, Pearl, this is psychotic. You're really tallying how much you've spent on me? It's not about the money, I whispered. It's about how you've treated me. He stepped closer, eyes cold. You know what? He said softly, almost amused. You're lucky I even let you pay my bills. The world tilted. I felt something inside me fall, sharp, irreversible. He realized instantly what he'd said, but instead of apologizing, he doubled down. I mean, think about it, he added with a shrug. I'm good-looking, fun, social. Most women would kill for a guy like me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't even breathe for a moment. I just looked at him and felt the strangest, calmest clarity wash over me. He wasn't joking. He wasn't flustered. He wasn't misspeaking. He meant it. He genuinely believed I was lucky to be drained, lucky to be used, lucky to be his ATM with a heartbeat. And in that moment, my love for him didn't just crack. It evaporated. The grief would come later, but the resolve? That arrived instantly. Something was about to change. And Lucas had no idea what was coming. The night Lucas told me I was lucky to pay his bills, something inside me went quiet. Not broken, quiet, like the moment right before a storm when the air stops moving. He stomped off to his bedroom. I stayed on the couch, staring at the ceiling, listening to the distant hum of the AC. I replayed his voice over and over. You're lucky I even let you pay my bills. Every time I heard it, something loosened in my chest. Something I hadn't realized had been knotted tight for months. By sunrise, the decision had formed so clearly it didn't even feel like a decision anymore, just a truth I had finally stopped resisting. I made coffee, got dressed, and began removing Lucas from my life the same way he'd seeped into it, quietly, steadily, without ceremony. At the bank, the teller barely blinked when I said, "Remove the authorized user from all 3 cards, please." "That will deactivate the old cards within 24 hours, she said. Perfect. Next, the phone store. I need to remove a line from my account, I told the rep. He typed quickly. It'll be disconnected today. Good. I walked out into the morning sunlight feeling lighter than I had in months. When I got home, Lucas was still asleep, sprawled across the bed diagonally, as if even in rest he needed to take more space than offered. I didn't wake him. I just started packing. Every shirt, every pair of jeans, every cologne bottle, every single decorative item he bought with my card. All of it went into neatly stacked boxes. I packed in silence, only stopping once to steady my hands when I noticed they were shaking. Not from fear, from relief. I changed the Wi-Fi password, then I changed the locks. The click of the new deadbolt felt like drawing a boundary I should have set months ago. I loaded all the boxes into my truck and drove across town. Lucas's mother, Ms. Hayes, answered her door with startled eyes. Pearl, honey, what's all this? Lucas's things, I said calmly. They're in the truck. What happened? She asked. We're done. But why? He'll explain. I carried each box to her driveway while she tried to stop me with questions, but I didn't answer. When the last box was unloaded, I got into my truck and drove away. Halfway home, my phone started buzzing nonstop. 8 missed calls, then 12, then 15. A stream of texts poured in. Why isn't my card working? Pearl, answer me. What did you do to my phone? Why is my stuff at my mom's? You can't do this to me. I'm calling the cops. Please answer, please. I didn't open a single one. I sat in my living room, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator. For the first time in months, my house actually sounded like a home. 2 hours later, I saw his car pull up. Then the pounding. Pearl, open the damn door. I opened it, but kept the chain on. Lucas stood there with wild eyes, breath sharp with anger. What the hell is going on? You canceled my phone. You shut off my cards. You changed the locks. Are you insane? You said I was lucky to pay your bills, I said softly. So I stopped paying them. His face froze. That's not what I meant. It's exactly what you meant. Pearl, open the door. Let's talk. No. His mouth fell open, stunned. No? What do you mean, no? I mean you don't live here anymore. His voice dropped to a growl. You can't kick me out. You were a guest. You never paid rent. You never contributed. You were never on a lease. And your things are at your mother's house now. This is illegal, he shouted. It's not. Where am I supposed to go? Your mother's, a friend's, a hotel. I met his eyes calmly. You'll figure it out. His face twisted with something between rage and desperation. You're being heartless. I'm your boyfriend. Were, I corrected. The word hit him harder than any argument ever could. He tried again, shifting tactics, his voice softening, almost pleading. Pearl, baby, look, I know I messed up. I'll change. I'll start contributing. I'll pay you back. Just let me come inside so we can fix this. I shook my head once. No. Why not? Because if I let you back in, nothing will change. You don't respect me. You don't value me. You value what I can give you. That's not true. It is, and you know it. He swallowed hard, tears forming in his eyes. You're going to regret this, he whispered. When you're alone and miserable, you'll remember that someone loved you. I breathed out slowly. If what you gave me was love, I'll take loneliness. His expression collapsed into disbelief. I closed the door, locked it, double-locked it. Then I walked away before he could knock again. Behind the door, I heard him curse, then pound, then fall silent. I didn't care which version of him stood on the other side. Angry, crying, manipulative, hopeful. They were all the same man. For the first time in months, the house stayed quiet after Lucas left my porch. No shouting, no slamming doors, no passive-aggressive sighs from down the hall. Just silence. I spent the rest of the afternoon cleaning, really cleaning. Wiping down surfaces that had been covered in his clutter, tossing out the overpriced grooming products he'd bought with my card, folding my own blankets the way I used to before they were buried under decorative pillows I never wanted. By evening, the house finally felt like it belonged to me again. And when I sat on the couch, the cushions dipped only under my own weight. It felt like breathing for the first time. Things stayed quiet for 2 days. Then the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, it wasn't Lucas, it was his mother. She looked tired, older than I remembered. Pearl, she said softly, can we talk? I stepped aside and motioned her in, though a small part of me braced for confrontation. She sat at my kitchen table and folded her hands. I owe you an apology. Those were the last words I expected. She exhaled. Lucas has been at my house for 2 days now, and I saw everything you tried to tell me, firsthand. The entitlement, the spending, the way he expects people to fix his problems. Her voice cracked. I didn't raise him like that, but I enabled it. I said nothing, letting her speak. He maxed out another credit card yesterday, bought new shoes instead of paying the phone bill, then had the nerve to yell at me when I said no. I kept my face neutral, but internally, a part of me whispered, patterns don't disappear just because love leaves. I'm sorry for doubting you, she added. You were patient far longer than I would have been. Thank you, I said. That means something. She wiped her eyes. I told him he has until the end of the month to find his own place. I won't keep bailing him out. That's a hard thing to do, I replied gently. It is, she whispered. But if I don't stop now, he'll never grow up. She left after thanking me again, a strange, bittersweet closure to the chaos he brought into my life. For a week after that, the world went quiet again. No calls, no texts, no angry banging on my door. And then I ran into him. I was in the grocery store, debating between 2 brands of pasta, when I heard someone clear their throat. Pearl. I turned. Lucas looked different, worn out, hair unstyled, dark circles under his eyes, wearing older clothes I recognized, things he used to shove to the back of the closet because they weren't aesthetic. Hi, I said. He shifted awkwardly. I moved in with roommates. Place is small, cheap, but affordable. I nodded. He glanced into my cart and gave a humorless laugh. Name brand pasta. Must be nice. It's just pasta, I said gently. He ran a hand through his messy hair. Look, I wanted to say, I get it now. Everything you tried to tell me. His voice cracked. I literally couldn't have afforded the way I was living without you. I tried. I really tried. And it's impossible. It wasn't impossible, I said softly. You just refused to adjust. He swallowed hard. You were right. About everything. For a moment, he looked like someone I didn't recognize, not the man who drained me, not the man who strutted around my house like he owned the place, just a person finally hit by reality. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Not because I want you back. I know that's not an option. I'm sorry because I used you, and I said things I never should have said." "Thank you," I said, and I meant it. He nodded, blinking fast. "Are you happy?" "I am," I replied. "Really." "Good," he said. "You deserve that." He pushed his cart past me, paused, then turned back one more time. "And Pearl?" "Yes?" "Thank you for cutting me off. I hate it right now, but if you hadn't, I don't think I'd ever learn how to stand on my own." I let him go without responding. Some moments don't need closure, they just need to end. Later that night, my friend Kara came over with takeout. We sat on my couch, the one that finally had only 2 pillows instead of 8, and talked like we used to before my life revolved around someone else's needs. "So," she said as she handed me a spring roll, "you saw him at the store?" I nodded. "And?" "And he apologized." Kara raised an eyebrow. "Like, sincerely?" "Sincerely," I confirmed. She shook her head in disbelief. "Character development. I didn't think he had it in him." "Neither did I said. She nudged me with her shoulder. "You doing okay?" "I'm doing better than okay," I said. "I feel free." "Good," she said. "You deserve free." A soft warmth bloomed in my chest. Not romance, not infatuation, not the dizzy hope I once felt for Lucas. Just peace. The kind that comes from reclaiming your life. Weeks later, something unexpected happened. I met someone new. Not in a whirlwind moment, not in some dramatic chance encounter, just a normal day, in a normal line, ordering coffee behind a man named Ethan who laughed at the same joke I did. We started talking more, then meeting intentionally. He split every bill without hesitation. He never commented on my house, my income, or my past. He never asked what I could give him, only who I was. One evening, after a long shift at the ER, he sat beside me on the couch and handed me a mug of tea. "You take care of everyone," he said softly. "Let me take care of you sometimes too. Not financially, not with expectation, just with kindness." Something Lucas never understood. Months after the breakup, I walked through my home, my clean, quiet, peaceful home, and realized I no longer avoided the rooms he used to dominate. I no longer checked receipts anxiously. I no longer walked on eggshells in my own space. I had myself back, and that was worth more than every dollar he ever drained from me. I once told myself love was something I had to earn through sacrifice, but now I know the truth. Generosity is only beautiful when it's appreciated. When it becomes expected, it turns into exploitation. The day Lucas told me I was lucky to pay his bills was the day he revealed exactly how little he thought of me. Walking away wasn't cruelty. It was survival. It was the moment I chose myself over the fantasy of who I wanted him to be. And in the end, it cost me $43,000 to learn the lesson. A painful price, but the most valuable one I've ever paid.